Glory.
I'm Christina Bonington.
This week we've got a look at the brand new MacBook Pro.
With a Retina display.
With a Retina display. Then we're going to take a quick look at a really crazy cool water gun, and then we're going to come back and talk about the enhancements to Apple's operating systems that were announced at the Worldwide Developers Conference. You were there?
Yes, Monday morning, bright and early, kind of.
And you came back with a treat.
I did. This is the new MacBook Pro with Retina display. It's super thin, 0.71 inches thin, and it weighs about a pound less than current 15-inch MacBook Pros. It's 4.46 pounds.
So it's actually, you know, it may not show up as well on screen, but it's remarkably thinner than the previous one, and it looks a lot more like an Air. I mean, it's not wedge-shaped like the Air is, but just the styling of it, I think.
Yeah. And, of course, that Retina display.
Yeah. Show it off.
Show it off. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, so it's 4 times as many pixels as the current MacBook Pros. It's 5,184,000 pixels, and it's just so many pixels. It's crazy, you guys.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, like, you have to read something, like read a web page on it, because you know there's a lot of people talking about how photos aren't going to look as sharp or icons aren't going to look as sharp, and that's true. Things that haven't yet been optimized for the Retina display aren't going to look as stunning on a Retina display. You'll see artifacts and look a little grungy. Right. But anything that's scalable graphics, so like you know, flash animations, anything saved in the SVG image format, but text is super sharp, and it's really amazing. Like when you're scrolling, I noticed, you know, just how brilliant the text is.
It is. It's just looking at Gmail on an old MacBook Pro compared to this one, it's just a night and day difference. It's so much easier to read on this one.
How much is it going to suck when you have to give it back?
It'll be real sad. $2,200 for the starting model.
$2,200.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. That's a lot of dough to swallow for a new notebook. You know, and really, do you need all those pixels and, you know, just like a pound less of notebook?
So when are they putting out the Retina on the Air, which is the MacBook Air is like, what, $1,200 for the larger screen, and for the 11-inch screen, it's $1,000. Isn't that going to get a Retina display sometime soon? I would probably expect MacBook Airs to get a Retina display update maybe within the next year or two, not more than 2 years. Okay. It's just fitting all that tech into the smaller form factor, you know. I see. So speaking of all the tech that's inside the smaller form factor, there's a bit of a controversy about the inside, right?
Yes. This is rated by iFixit as the least repairable laptop they've ever seen.
And these are the guys that as soon as anything comes out, they pop it open with their screwdrivers and take a look at everything that's inside, right?
Yeah, and so the problem is all these parts are glued. There's, you know, parts layered together, so if you try to remove one thing, excuse me, if you try to take one part out, you know, you're going to break something else in the process.
So what if I want to add more RAM?
Nope. You're out of luck.
What if I want to swap out the SSD for like a terabyte SSD?
Nope.
Can't do it.
Nope.
What if I want to replace the battery?
Nope.
I just have to buy a new one.
Yeah.
But
maybe take it to AppleCare.
But we're talking about, so I got to like take it into the Apple Store and pay the flat fee and all that?
Yeah.
But I just spent like $2,500 on this damn thing.
It's true, but you're paying $2,500 for what Apple has given you. Why would you want to change that?
Oh yeah, you're right. They know best. That's the message here, I'm taking it?
I think so.
All right. Is there anything else we want to say about this, other than you've got a full review coming?
We've got a full review coming. Let's see. It's fast. It's really fast. Yeah, Core i7 processor, flash memory.
I'm a big fan of the keyboard, actually, just in the couple of minutes I've spent with it so far. I think the keyboard and the trackpad, you know, as always, Apple is the best in the business at the input devices and the screen.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can read Christina's full review of the MacBook Air, but the MacBook Pro
with Retina
display that will be up very soon on the product reviews website on Wired.com. And now I believe you're going to take us outdoors and show us the squirt gun.
Yep. It's June, it's hot outside,
It's a perfect weather for a trip to the beach or the park. For Father's Day growing up, my family would always get Dad a Nerf Super Soaker. This year we've got the Nerf Super Soaker Lightning Storm. It's $25, has a 32-ounce water clip, and it even has a blast shield. We've also got the $10 Nerf Super Soaker Electro Storm. The only problem with these guys is they just don't hold enough water, but it's still great fun.
So is that a real Super Soaker?
It is a real Super Soaker, and it's only $25.
I remember like the old ones in the 90s, they had these giant, like backpack systems and everything, and they were like over $100.
Yeah, I know. This is very affordable. Get one for the whole family.
Let's go back to the WWDC. So it wasn't all about hardware.
It wasn't. So Apple introduced iOS 6 for the first time, and spent a lot of the presentation focusing on that. It's got a lot of cool features. One of them is the new Maps app. Apple has developed its own Maps app from the ground up. It's got this cool 3D flyover feature where you can see like 3D buildings and stuff in major metropolitan areas.
Whoa.
Yeah, I don't know how useful it'll be in actually getting to your destination, but I could see wasting a lot of time just like scrolling through Paris or something,
I do that already in the Google Maps app in the phone. But I have to say, I think that the Maps app that they're dumping, the Google one that comes standard on the phone already, is awesome.
Yeah.
So Apple's is going to have to be like doubly kick-ass in order for it to actually trump what's already available, I think.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm just going to be going to the App Store and downloading the Google Apps app. Unless, of course, they block it, which they would never do.
Yeah, I don't think they can do that.
Well, they could, but they wouldn't get away with it, right?
Right.
There was also announced the Mountain Lion.
Yes.
Is that right? The new version of OS X?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So the developer preview has been out since February, but they showed off some of its major new features. There's a lot of kind of like back and forth between iOS and Mac in Mountain Lion. So there's a lot of, like in Safari, there's shared bookmarks. Your browsing history is shared on both. So if you Google, how to bake a pie on your iPhone, and then you're like, oh, what was that great site I found? Your history is right there when you sign back onto your Mac, your Mountain Lion.
And a lot of this, we've seen this before in Android with the latest versions of Androids with Chrome browser, where Chrome can talk between open tabs on the phone or open tabs on the desktop, and just sort of an ecosystem all coming together now, finally.
Yeah, and Safari added the Chrome-like searching in the URL bar.
Oh, finally. Finally, I've been waiting for that for eons. And Mountain Lion is coming out when?
Next month, and it's only $20. It's like OS X Lion last year. It is just a download from the Mac App Store, and the one-time purchase applies to all of your Macs. So if you have multiple Macs, $20. Mountain Lion on all of them.
That's great. That's a bargain.
Yeah, definitely.
And when is iOS 6 arriving?
That should be arriving in the fall, and I would definitely expect that to be arriving with the next iPhone.
Yeah.
So maybe September, October is when we're expecting that.
Oh, but it's not going to work on older devices, right?
Right. Well, so you'll probably be able to download iOS 6, but a lot of the main flagship features, like some flyover in the Maps app, are only going to work on the iPhone 4S or higher or the iPad 2 or higher. So your older 3GS and iPhone 4 aren't going to get the full functionality of iOS 6.
All right. Limited love for the old devices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're ancient. They're ancient by this point.
That's true. And you really are missing out if you don't have the latest hardware. It's, just sort of the law of consumer electronics, unfortunately. Yeah. As much as people hate it. That's all that we have time for this week. We'll be back next week where we will have not so much Apple news, but probably a little bit of Apple news. Anyway, until then, bye-bye.